Thank you very much for your introduction. I feel that after you've given the remarks you've made that I will only be able to add a little bit on to the direction of what you've said. I think this session is especially important because the United States believes in the indivisibility of security throughout the Euro-Atlantic area and the interdependence of all three OSCE dimensions: human rights, economic development, and military transparency, along with the OSCE instruments that promote them, are all part of the seamless cloth of comprehensive European security. Arms control, we believe, is a key part of that effort. The United States believes that robust multilateral conventional arms control arrangements and confidence and security building mechanisms, or CSBMs, contribute to a more stable and predictable environment in Europe. We believe that the conventional arms control agreements and CSBMs that were formed in the early 1990s have contributed enormously to the security of Europe. These measures fit within a larger network of security tools, both bilateral and multilateral. They provide a more secure foundation for stability in our strategic relationships, and we are committed to making a serious investment in strengthening the current security architecture. Furthermore, we believe we must continually adapt and strengthen our efforts to meet current and future security needs. I want to stress up front, however, that multilateral arms control regimes cannot and should not be expected to solve all the regional, bilateral, political, and security issues that may be in play between the parties involved. Conventional arms control regimes should, however, take account of existing security relationships and concerns and provide a level of transparency about those relationships, allowing for confidence building at the regional and sub-regional levels and among larger groups of participants. Mr. Chairman, as you outlined, there are really three conventional regimes that play these key roles in European security: the Open Skies Treaty, the Vienna Document, and the Conventional Armed Forces in Europe Treaty, or CFE. All three regimes contribute to security and stability in their unique ways, but when they are working in harmony, the result is greater stability for all of us. First, let me mention the success of the Open Skies Treaty. In March, this coming month, the treaty will mark an important milestone with the 20th anniversary of its signature at the Helsinki CSCE Summit in 1992. Collectively, the 34 parties to the treaty have conducted over 835 observation flights over each other's territories. States are working hard to improve the regime by transitioning now to digital sensors. We expect the Open Skies Treaty to continue contributing to openness and transparency among its members for years to come. The second key regime is the Vienna Document, a set of politically binding confidence and security building measures which allow us to share military data and to inspect each other's military facilities. The Vienna Document has also contributed immeasurably to Europe-wide military transparency and reassurance. We also think it's a useful template for other regions outside Europe as they look to build confidence in the military intentions of their neighbors. Since 2010, we have worked to modernize the Vienna Document to make it more relevant for 21st century military capabilities and security realities. In December of last year, an updated Vienna Document was issued at the Vilnius Ministerial. But it is a living document which needs to be continuously updated. We are now engaged with our partners to further the modernization of the Vienna Document with particular attention to expanding the content of information exchanges and increasing efficiency in the conduct of verification activities. Going forward, we have two goals in mind. We want to strengthen existing provisions and at the same time ensure the document remains relevant to today's 21st century security challenges. Let me also make clear that we do not see the Vienna Document as a substitute for CFE or conventional arms control, but rather as its complement. It provides transparency throughout Europe and, like the Open Skies Treaty, increases confidence by allowing states to see what their neighbors are up to militarily and providing opportunities for militaries to meet on a one-to-one and group basis. The Vienna Document does not limit weapons or troops, but it does make it clear what national intentions are. Unfortunately, our work in 2012 has begun on a negative note, with the Russian Federation failing to implement the new Vienna Document 2011, and we look forward to its expeditious return to full compliance. In contrast to the Vienna document, the Conventional Forces in Europe Treaty, or CFE, is real arms control that places numerical limits on the quantities and types of weapons. Since its entry into force, more than 72,000 pieces of Cold War military equipment, tanks, armored combat vehicles, artillery, combat aircraft, and attack helicopters have been eliminated. Under CFE, thousands of inspections have taken place at military sites all over Europe, dramatically increasing confidence in military transparency on the continent by providing a means to verify data exchanges. The CFE regime remains important to the United States and for European security as a whole. Unfortunately, the Russian Federation ceased implementation of its CFE obligations in December 2007. After trying for several years to encourage Russia to resume implementation and move past this problem, in November 2011, the United States ceased carrying out certain obligations under the CFE treaty with regard to Russia. We were joined by our NATO allies that are party to the treaty, as well as Georgia and Moldova, in taking this important step in all 24 of the 30 countries that are party to the treaty. The U.S. and NATO allies made two major efforts since 2007 to find a way forward on CFE-related issues, but this has not proved possible so far. We are ready to return to the negotiating table whenever we have a signal that real progress can be made on the remaining issues, including the right of states to choose whether to allow foreign forces to be stationed on their territories and military transparency among parties essential for preserving confidence during the negotiation. So that's what's happened so far. The question is, what happens next? The United States remains committed to conventional arms control, and we are ready to work towards finding a solution to preserve, strengthen, and modernize conventional arms control regime in Europe. Although we are some distance from starting a negotiation, we are now discussing a way forward with all CFE states parties and with other interested countries as well. We are listening to their views and needs and considering what sort of agreement will provide the confidence and security that we all need while ensuring weapons and troops are at the lowest possible levels. All possibilities are on the table. Whether a new regime will track closely with CFE or with the never implemented adapted CFE Treaty of 1999 or be something quite different. Questions to be resolved include limitations and just what needs to be limited, since the equipment categories in CFE reflect a military reality that is quite different from that of today. The nature of such a regime also needs to be determined, whether it will be legally binding, politically binding, or a mixture of both. The area of application needs to be agreed, including what to do about the existing so-called black holes in CFE, the conflict zones where forces can be hidden. Whether there is a role for sub-regional agreements to complement the treaty also needs to be considered. In short, the United States has more questions than answers, but that's really the nature of multilateral agreements. Conventional arms control is not, like with the New START nuclear treaty, a bilateral agreement to be worked out between the U.S. and the Russian Federation. Instead, it must take into consideration the security needs and concerns of 30 or more states in very different neighborhoods, ranging from the Arctic Circle to the borders of Iran. But the conversation has begun and the parameters are being staked out, and your countries will all have a role to play as the process unfolds. Thank you very much, and I welcome your questions and comments.